thought I'd give everybody just a little bit of a taste because it was way too dark, and because of the wet weather at Gulfstream Park this morning, all we did was jog with Happy Match. But I know there's a number of people who have not seen him up close and personal. And for those people that are joining, and good morning, Tony. Lavender Chrissy went out way early this morning. It's rained, so Toasting Master is not going to work. He will just gallop, or maybe even just jog, because the track is pretty crappy this morning. Mother Nature kind of came at the most inopportune time, and therefore I don't get to see much in the way of anything other than just a few joggers and walkers this morning at Gulfstream Park. But I am delighted to provide a little videotape of our newly minted 3-year-old Happy Match, our Tis Now out of the mare Sumptuous, and he's just a big boy. And he's got a good mind. I mean, you can gain so much so quickly from just kind of studying these horses and how they comport themselves with some of the other horses right next to him and on the wash rack and around the barn. And you know, my initial take that I talked about yesterday when I was down here was that seems to be a pretty sensible dude. He worked over the weekend. They actually caught him, or they gave him a 5/8 of a mile workout time, even though I think it was primarily designed to be a half mile. Actually, no, I'm sorry. They recorded the half, and he galloped out in 101 and change, which for his very first 5/8 and just kind of a gallop out, that's no bad feat whatsoever. I mean, that's a nice way to start things out on a little bit further distance perspective. I think he'll be a horse that gets a start down here at Gulfstream Park if all goes well for him. And I also think that it's probably going to be in late February, maybe early March before we see him, just because he's just so big. He's just a big old Tis Now with a big old Tis Now head and a big old Tis Now body. There's not much Hennessy in here from a physical standpoint, at least from my perspective. I was lucky enough to see Hennessy in the flesh when he was a 2-year-old turning 3, and saw plenty of Tis Now at the Breeders' Cup, and actually saw him 2 Breeders' Cup years in a row, and also at Santa Anita. So this is way more Tis Now than it is Hennessy. As we put the blanket on and get him back into the barn, I've got to go pick up some folks for the Thoroughbred Owners Conference. My primary reason for being down here, but just know that anybody who's watching Periscope, I will be back with a full slate of training horses tomorrow from Palm Meadows. Terry Finley, our fearless leader who's down here now, is going to be traveling with me, and we'll go up and see a bunch of horses. But in the meantime, I bid you adieu from still dark and still wet Dale Romans' barn.